This one detail changes the entire geometry of your roof. Even if you are designing your own shed, you want to know how important this is. Hola! I'm Mike, and what did I do now? Built the frame for the roof of my shed. The walls were pretty easy to design and build. It's just a box. But the roof, it's more than just angles and geometry. It's also physics, and two different kinds of physics. To make matters worse, I got it wrong. This notch is called a bird's mouth. That's why sockets attracted to it, and it's where the rafter sits on top of the wall. It didn't occur to me until long after the shed was finished that this might be wrong. After some research, I found it's very wrong, and it has compromised the structural integrity of my shed. Yeah, this notch. Let's take a look at the importance of this notch, then we'll see my design along with what I should have done differently. This is a simplified model of my rafter assembly. It's not called a truss. That's a truss. This is missing the web members that would make it a truss. A rafter assembly is two rafters held together with a gusset. Rafter assemblies are most typically set down on top of the walls or on the top plates with bird mouths, which give the rafter a flat surface in which to transfer the load to the top plate. The horizontal cut is the seat and the vertical cut is the heel. Let's say we have an 8-foot wall and a 312 pitch to the roof. 312 means for every 3 inches of rise, there is 12 inches of run. So for a 48-inch run, you would have 12 inches of rise. We'll save the pain of the trigonometry of calculating the angles because, you know, nerds. For this 312 pitch, the plumb angles for the ridge cut and the heel cut are 14 degrees and the seat angle is 76 degrees. This pitch is standard for a shed, and it works perfectly because the heel cut is only 7/8 inches deep, and we end up with a 3.5-inch seat. The reason this is perfect is because the rule is to not cut more than 25% of the rafter for the bird's mouth, and 7/8 is exactly 25%. If the pitch is changed to 412, which is also standard for a shed, we're already losing seat length. This is 2 5/8 inches, and 7/8 of the seat was lost. So what do you do if you have a 612 roof? First of all, you need to know the physics. Hey, any excuse to hear from Olivia Newton-John, right? Okay, pay attention. There will be a quiz after. As I said earlier, there are two types of physics. The first is structural mechanics. Ideally, the seat matches the full width of the top plate. This is something I alluded to in the last video on shed walls. You want to transfer the weight from wood to wood or surface to surface. Never rely on fasteners. The physics for those is different and they hold a lot less than you would think. The weight of the roof pushes down along the rafter while the wall gives an opposite and equal reaction, pushing up on the end, which causes the rafter to want to bow downward. There's also shear force. The best way to explain this is with a deck of cards. When you bend the deck, the cards slide. In a solid object, the material shears. Finally, if you have an overhang like I do, this is a cantilever. Like the middle of the rafter, it's being pulled down by the weight of the overhang while being pushed up at the wall. And all this is happening at the bearing point of the wall, which is the bird's mouth. How well the rafter handles this is a second kind of physics, material mechanics. This is basically what kind of wood you are using and how strong it is. When a piece of wood bends, the top fibers are under compression while the bottom fibers have tension. The neutral axis of the board is roughly in the center, depending on the structure of the fibers. I followed some really bad advice on the internet without knowing how important this silly little notch would be. The first bad suggestion was to ensure the seat size is at least 3.5 inches so it would sit fully on the top plate of the wall. The reason this advice is bad is because it doesn't consider the pitch of the roof or the size of the rafters. A 2x6 rafter can obviously handle a bigger notch, but I really didn't want to build a 2x6 rafter assembly because they're gonna be heavy. I gotta lift them up to the roof and hold them in place while I screw them on. I mean, I could have done it. I work out. Even this is heavy. The second bad suggestion was to cut the notch extra long in order to allow clearance for the exterior panels. Plus, I added an extra 1/4 inch to that because I wanted to ensure full clearance. And what I ended up with was this, a Birdsmouth that is 50% of the rafter, far exceeding the 25% standard allowance. Now let's talk about why that's bad. Essentially, regardless of how deep the notch is, it weakens the rafter at the wall, where it is supported, a location with high shear forces and significant bending stress. Cutting a notch removes wood, which interrupts the continuous fibers that carry the load and creates a stress concentration at the inside corner, which makes it easier for a crack to start and follow the grain. But with the notch at only 25% of the rafter, it is within safe limits because there's sufficient material left to carry the load. Minor cracking would have minimal effect. When you cut a notch, bending resistance doesn't drop in proportion to how much you remove. Bending resistance depends on the remaining depth, squared. So increasing the notch from 25 to 50% of the rafter reduces the bending resistance to about 25% at that section. That, coupled with the shear at the support, is a recipe for a more severe crack and a weakening of the rafter. The roof is not going to suddenly collapse, and none of the rafters will one day snap in half. The concern isn't sudden failure. It's long-term deflection and potential splitting at the notch. The immediate solution is my favorite. Do nothing. But keep an eye on it. If cracks form, there are things that can be done to repair the problem. A sister rafter can be added. It would not be a bird's mouth, just an angle at the bottom and a vertical cut at the end. It runs as far up the length of the rafter as possible, in my case up to the gussets. It is married to the rafter with construction glue and several 3-inch screws. Another solution is 1/2-inch plywood gussets married to the bottom of the rafter near the weak point where the crack is likely to form or has begun to form. Ultimately, it's a small shed and a small roof. The rafters are only 4.5 feet long, and the 4 main rafter assemblies work in tandem. The deep bird's mouth is not ideal, but not likely to cause problems. It'll be fine. So how should I have done this? Before giving you all the answers, if you like math, like this video. Do you like physics? Like this video. However, if you don't like math or physics, like this video. I didn't want to take chances and leave anybody out, but if what you really like is me making mistakes, subscribe. You won't be disappointed. Seriously, just wait till we get to the shingles. Oh, here's that quiz I was talking about. You thought I was kidding. So how should this have been done? Or more importantly, how should you not make my mistake? Industry standard uses 2x6 rafters for the specific reason of handling a bird's mouth with a steep pitch. So using 2x6s is a common solution, just one I was not interested in. Too damn heavy. Just kidding. Otherwise, the first thing to do is dispense with the bad advice of extending the seat to overlap the exterior panels. This is a much better option than weakening the rafters. Lowering the pitch of the roof would definitely have been a consideration if I was aware of this dilemma ahead of time. A 3/12 pitch is very common for a shed. This would only give me a 1-foot attic, but then the shed walls would be 8 feet instead of 7. I actually get more cubic feet of space. And a 3/12 pitch works perfectly because with the 7/8 inch heel, the result is a 3.5 inch seat for maximum bearing. Another bonus, it would be a lot easier to walk on the roof. A 6/12 pitch is, well, it was a bit nerve-wracking up there. Regardless of the pitch, when you cut the bird's mouth, cut that corner cleanly and carefully. Overcutting weakens the fibers that much more and can help create a crack. Another solution would be to keep my 6/12 pitch and simply do a shallower bird's mouth. While a 3.5-inch seat to rest on the wall top plate is ideal, it's not mandatory. A 1.5-inch seat is commonly used in light framing. My 4-foot run with a 6/12 pitch and a 7/8 deep heel leaves a 1 3/4-inch seat. Because the roof is small, this is fine, but hurricane ties or similar structural connectors ensure the rafter is properly anchored to the wall, especially since the toe-nailing will be tight. Finally, no bird's mouth at all. Secure the rafters to the top plate with triple grip connectors or similar hardware. So what do you think? Did this make sense, or did I bury you in highfalutin hooey? Did I make any mistakes? Get the conversation going. Leave a comment. I reply to all my friends, except you, Jeff. Oh, I've got a fan online. Hey, fan, did you like the video?
That bird's mouth was so big, it's gonna eat your whole shed.
Thanks, fan. Now that I've shown you what a bird's mouth should look like, you can watch the next video on framing the roof of my shed, which will be next time. What time? Noon Eastern, every other Wednesday. If you like the actual physics in this video, watch Is Your Attic Overloaded on my other channel. And if you like the mistake I made with the bird's mouth, you'll love all the mistakes I made framing my shed. Watch it. I mean, these videos are free. Don't look a gift bird in the mouth. Oh, that was so bad.
Are you cutting a bird's mouth? Or some kind of deranged pumpkin? Bird's mouth? Pterodactyl! Ah!